Hi, Jeremy. I've gone through the survey and highlighted points of interest. Essentially, it's a very tidy house. There's just one issue, which is stepped cracks on the front of the building, which I'm going to go into when I get there. All right. Um, he's saying it's a reasonably good purchase for the price, so that's good. Sometimes they say you paid too much, but on this one, he's saying that was about right, so that's good. And then there are various elements which need attention, and it's got an EPCD. I'm just going to be back in a moment. Right, I'm back. This EPC certificate is interesting. It marks up as D61, but if you look at thermostatic controls, which are relatively low cost, then in theory it could bring it right up to just under EPCC. And I would say overall the um, the the odds are that if you had the thermostatic controllers installed, that you could get it up to EPC. Sorry, I got a cold. EPCC maybe, but the point is that there's very little to do on this property apart from the thermostatic controller, and that should get you to EPCC if necessary. But at the moment, it's fine, obviously. I'm just talking about this in respect to potential future risk. And anyway, so EPC, I know you can't see the writing because it's very small, but we'll zoom in where there's parts that are important. And pleasant grounds, as we see, all reasonably nice. Chimney stacks, well, there is none, so that's good, and the roof seems to be in good condition as well. Okay, moving on. The good thing about the internet is I could be as infectious as anything, but you can't get a virus down a phone line, which is good. Anyway, all right, so all the exterior pictures, they all look good. The property is basically as expected, i.e. it's in good condition. This fascia board is a bit degraded, and I think if you were just doing some final tidy ups, then prior to renting, then I think I would definitely look at getting this done, i.e. just getting up with some ladder or scaffolding would be a what do you call it, a tower scaffolding, and just cleaning and repainting these fascia boards. And you can see on this side as well, you can see that it's kind of degraded as well. So just jobs to do, but nothing major. It's not like you have to do it now. You could do this at any time. You could rent the property out and then just deal with it later on. It's a preventative maintenance thing as much as anything. And then we've got the main walls and no sign of injection. Well, yes, because everyone assumes, including the EPC guy, that there is insulation in the cavity already. Now, this is an issue, the stepped hairline cracks. And it's also saying that so basically it's not a big issue, but it needs to be sorted out. It's a bit like those fascia boards on the outside, with the roof. It's just a job to do. And what one would do is mortar them in so that the cracks don't absorb water, and then just see. And what the surveyor is saying is you just do that and then you see what happens. I assume that because it's a new build, typically new build properties tend to move around a little bit, and the house that I live in is a new build, and there's a few little cracks here and there, but nothing substantial, nothing to be concerned about. And I'm just going to show you this. This is the mining map, so I'll just do this to show you. Right, so right in the middle is mining risk? Well, there is no mining risk. That's the bottom line. So there's nothing here that suggests that you're on the edge of a coal mining area and the place is going to collapse. Nothing like that. So I think it's just simply cracking that occurred probably a long time ago that has never been repaired or never been worked on. And as you see from this, it's hard to see because they're not very high resolution images, but they are basically hairline cracks, literally. So the rule of thumb is if you could fit a credit card in between the cracks, you know, if it was more than 1 millimeter thick or maybe even 1.5 millimeters thick, then it would potentially be a problem. This isn't a problem. It just needs a little bit of attention. And I would be inclined to just get that infilled with some mortar or something like that. And it's probably almost like a grouting just some kind of grouting compound or something like that. It's a very minor task, but it just needs doing. And then he's saying, again, on the theme of minor subsidence, there's a little crack there. And it's running from that brick through, but it hasn't become a stepped crack. So the same, basically, this side, there's been a tiny bit of subsidence, but it is very, very minor. And when we look at the interior pictures, we don't see cracking on the inside to speak of either. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. All right, let's zoom out again. And what have we got? Double glazing is all fine. Louvered, quite nice louvered blinds actually. Unusual to see those. Nice to see them. They're very good for obviously blocking out sunlight, which is a nice benefit. And for sleeping obviously. And here we are. So the timber canopy, again, it's okay. It probably needs a little painting and decorating. And again, there's nothing here that says, oh, it's got to be fixed immediately. This can be done whenever, but it should be done at some point. Now, he talks about the bituminous felt under the roof tiles. And this is kind of interesting. These felt, rolls of felt, it's like a tar impregnated in a fabric, and it's torn in a place. So it's not a big deal. It's just something that I suspect what happened here was that one of these tiles was cracked and they tried to access it from the inside to repair it, and they ripped the felt. Again, it's like another of those tasks which is not very important and might be worth doing at some point. And what one would do here very simply is just get another patch of felt, slot it in, put this kind of tarry goo on it, which acts as an adhesive, just stick it on, and then that's waterproof again. End of problem. So these are really minor repairs. Now the next thing is, let's go on here. Okay, and then in the master bedroom, a little bit of a crack here. That I'm not too concerned about, and the reason being that if you remember, in the loft, I'll go back to the loft picture. In the loft, it was boarded out. So what that means is that you've got distributed weight, but you've also got old suitcases and other junk weighing this thing down. And it's fairly inevitable. By the way, I originally thought that this was some sort of growth of some kind because it looks green, but I think it's just, well, it's obviously just insulation. Anyway, back to this. And what I think's going on here is just weight from pressing down on the roof joists and causing some hairline cracks. Again, it's a really simple issue to deal with. And some more hairline cracking. I don't think this is an issue again. And once again, in our house, which is new build, we've got quite a lot of this. It's just houses settle in. But this owner obviously never redecorated the property, and that's why we've got the original hairline cracking. It might be worth getting done, might not, because actually the property's in very good overall condition. Would tenants really care? I don't think so. And so the all plasterboard, yes, and then we have damp proof testing. Of course, it's fine. More hairline cracks. Again, I don't think this property's ever been decorated, and therefore it's going to have these. Also, a hairline crack here. Now, let me think. This is the back bedroom. Now, the front bedroom is where you had the stepped crack. Now, if there was a big crack down the side of the wall, then I would be concerned, but I'm not seeing that as yet. And some fairly unpleasant repairs or whatever. I don't know what's going on with that, but nothing substantial. And I think, if I'm right in saying, oh, that's a wardrobe. Oh, fine. Okay. So what I think's going on is, yeah, no carpet in that wardrobe. And what I'll do in a minute, once I've done this, is just get the sales particulars and we'll scan through those again. Rear wall in the kitchen. Now that looks like it's in bad condition, but that's just because it's under the cabinets and it was never finished properly in the first place. And you plug in a washing machine, it never gets seen. So that's what's happening there. Overall, it's in good shape, this place. And something odd going on here. I think it's unusual to see this bent, but again, it's a very minor defect and actually not really worth considering as an issue. I think this is just, I don't know, it's just something, but nothing of merit. Now, if we get on with the handrail issue, kitchens are all looking good. There is an issue with the handrail, and it's just a minor thing, and it's not necessarily worth changing. The story here is that modern handrails have to be a little higher than this. So what he's saying is that from the top of the stairs, I think it is, to here, the top of the handrail must be over 900 millimeters. I think he's saying should be positioned 900 to 1,000, but it's generally less than 900. What he means is that the post at the end and the bit at the top are above that, but everything else not. And which there's another issue, which is that you've got a gap that's greater than 100 millimeters. And the whole thing about that is that if you have a little baby wants to go and play, baby sticks head through stairs, baby slips, baby dead. So there is an argument for getting this sorted out, but I don't think it's a particularly strong argument because the way building regulations work is that if you're redoing the handrails, for example, you would then have to make them building regulations legal, but they're not retrospective. So you don't have if you're not changing them, don't change them. And the thing is, you don't know who's going to move into this property, so therefore it's difficult to work out whether you should cover yourself against any potential liability. The general rule is that a property must be safe for the tenant, and if the tenant has a baby, well, then maybe it's not so safe. But if it's not a baby, then it's not an issue. But in any event, this is an easy enough thing to deal with. It's just probably £300 or £400 to get the whole thing sorted out, because it's just pieces of wood, essentially, long pieces of wood, and an extension to the end of the staircase, riser of some kind or something like that. But anyway, I would just leave it alone. All right, and bathroom fittings. Bathroom's nice fittings as well, slightly above average, so that's good. And altogether, it looks good. Electricity. He doesn't have certificates, hence safety alerts all over the place. And he's saying level 3, etc. Well, fine. And combination boiler, that's good, and it looks okay. And I think the general rule of thumb with boilers is if it ain't broke, don't replace it, and you service it until it can't be serviced any longer. But it looks like it's in good condition, and much like this house, which is in good condition, I expect the boiler has been serviced over time, and it's probably worth asking, as he suggests, asking if there are test certificates available for the electricity and the electricity and the boiler. And the next thing and gas, obviously. And now we've got soil. Everything looks very tidy there. And this all looks nice and tidy. If it was me, I would, and if I was doing like some general tidy up of the place, I would get the contractor, i.e. if it was Joe or whoever, get the contractor along with a jet wash and just jet wash all of this down so that it comes up nice and bright and is nice and welcoming. That kind of black, gunky tiles, it doesn't need to be like that, and it would take about 3 hours to just do everything and make it present well. And these little things, they make a big difference when it comes to letting it out. And I would get the rear patio as well jet washed. And I would do the gates and just the exterior stuff. I would just give that a good wash down, and all the concrete stuff, the bench and so on, a good thorough clean. And that alone will probably give you an extra £20 a month in rentability, because when people see this, it just pops. It looks nice and new and clean, and everyone's happy. So I'm a big fan of just getting all of these patios and stuff just tidied up and cleaned, jet washed. For what it's worth, we do it every year around our house. We have lots of paving around our place, and it makes such a difference. And the valuation, so he's saying 216 was a good price, and what to do now, etc., etc. So a lot of, like, as you know, verbiage. And then the final thing I want to talk about is the cracks on the walls. So cozy homes have something helpful here. And having read through this and just kind of knowing what I know about these things, hairline cracks aren't really an issue. Big cracks are an issue. So if you get up 1 to 5, well, then that's fine. It's just not that serious. And the surveyor says so, so it's fine. What you got to watch out for is this kind of thing. An old house on a poor foundation with a big fat crack going down, running all the way down the back of the property, that would be a problem. But your property is very tidy, and I think it's more or less ready to rent from what I can see. All right. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.